In our final session today, we have Sara Robertson, who is an absolute expert on networking. She's deeply interested in finding ways to empower people to contribute to their communities at work or beyond. She's built and scaled up teams in finance, software, and tourism industries, and currently supports the Edinburgh Futures Institute to develop external partnerships. She regularly runs workshops for Entrepreneurial Scotland and MBAs at the Universities of Edinburgh, Glasgow, and Strathclyde. She's also a graduate of Babson's Entrepreneurial Thought and Action Programme, which is something you should look up. That is quite an amazing programme. Sara's role is all about making connections at every level, both within the university and with external partners and audiences. So we are immensely fortunate that she can be here with us this afternoon to share her expertise with us. So over to you, Sara.
Thanks very much. So apologies, folks. I just joined just after 3 because I was delivering a workshop earlier today. So I'm sort of trying to soak up the vibe and see where you guys are at. And I know that you've all been online for a wee while already. So I'm going to just check in with everyone first of all. So if you're able to turn your camera on, please do. If you're not able to turn your camera on, I'll explain how you can do it in the chat, but just give everybody a moment to turn on your camera if you can. Totally fine if you're not in a place where you can do that, or your Wi-Fi's dodgy, but if you can turn on your camera, amazing. Ah, look at you all. There we go. Yeah, wonderful to meet you all, and really delighted to be with you. And I'm aware that this topic that I've been asked to talk about is one that fills us with fear, things that we maybe don't want to do so much. And I'm going to kind of walk through all of that and share a bit of my story along the way as well. But first of all, I just want to check in with you how we're feeling energy level wise. So if you're feeling fully charged, put your hand up here. If you're running on fumes, put your hand down here. Show me where you're at. And if you can't turn your camera on, find a creative way of sharing with us in the chat. So tanks full, ready to go, running on empty down the bottom. Okay, let's see what we got. Hold your hand up just so I can just get a gauge of the room. Oh, wow, okay, well, I mean, awesome work, everyone who's been presenting so far, because everyone's energy levels look for the most part to be up. Okay, so we will jump right in. I don't have any slides, but I do have lots of places for you to contribute things. Quick wave if you're familiar with Padlet. Okay, quite a few of you, excellent. Okay, so we're going to be using Padlet today. I know that some of you won't be familiar with it, so I'm going to try and explain as much as possible. If you get stuck, please just come off mute and say, hey, help me out, okay? So I'm going to share the links to the Padlets in the chat. And the first one that I'd like you to do, and actually accidentally nicely links on from Susan's presentation just now, is I'd like you just to take a moment to think about a goal that you have in life. It could be related to your research, could be to do with family, could be to do with planet, could be short term. I want to get better at waking up in the morning, could be long term, like what the impact you want to have over the course of your life is. To add to Tablet, if you're not familiar with it, you can press that pink plus circle down in the bottom right, or you can double click anywhere. Ideally, if you can choose an image, so if you're not familiar with how to use the image, when you double click to create something, you'll see some green and orange options. The second orange one lets you search the internet for images, and also will let you search the internet for GIFs. So if you're a fan of GIFs, you can use that. But yeah, just take a moment and share with us a goal that you have in life. All the contributions are anonymous, so there will be no attribution. If you prefer to keep it totally private and just write it down in front of you, please do that. And I think that I have sharing permissions. I'm also a huge fan of the power of music to help us think. So I'm just going to pop some tunes on to help you think through your goals. Just need to skip that track because I remember that it has some words which probably aren't completely comfortable. Apologies for that, guys. Amazing. So we've got some really practical things right in the Edinburgh comment. We've got some things really close to home, family and friends. Got things really Feel free to add links out to things, add text to explain what you mean by your image. If you want to edit an item that you've added, just click the 3 dots. One more minute on this. So just pause there. So sharing this is really the only reason for learning anything is, what's our purpose? Like, what's it helping us to do, and who are we helping through it? So just wanted to ground you guys in that and think about it as we're going through this session. So when we're thinking about some of the exercises I'm going to take you through, just if you get stuck, sort of think back to this purpose, this thing that you'd like to do with your life, and that'll help you kind of be inspired. So yeah, we'll jump into the next Padlet. This one is all about the gifts, please. Okay, so if you manage to find a gift that I have not seen before, I will let you know, I will celebrate you, I will call you out. So this is the next Padlet. So in here, I'd like you just to add as many gifts as you like, okay, on how you feel about networking, okay? And I'd like you to articulate how you really feel about networking. All the responses are anonymous, not how you're supposed to feel about networking, okay? So how you really feel about it. Please make use of the power of gifts, and I will give us some tunes to help along the way as well. Away you go. Okay, so happy thoughts, sad thoughts, scary thoughts. Yeah, meeting myself leaving network events, coward. Yeah, know that feeling. Homer melting into a hedge. That one comes up in almost every single one of these sessions that I run. I'd really love to know what you search to get that gift. Alright. Yeah, we got some sea creatures running away from things. Lots of running. Okay, good. Yeah, drinks. Yes. Let's see what here. Feel free to react to other people's gifts. So if somebody's posted a gift that also represents how you feel, you can click the little heart to show that you're getting that one as well. So we've got some imposter syndrome going on.
Excuse me, what is the task now? I think I missed you. What is the task now?
What is the task? So the task is, I'll just pop this. So this is the Padlet I just posted in the chat again. So the task is just to add gifts that represent how you feel about networking and how you really feel rather than how you're supposed to feel about networking. And you can react, you can add a heart to other people's gifts if you want to agree with them. All right, that's wonderful, guys. There's so many in there. That's brilliant. And what I'd like you to know, and I'd be very happy to share all of the Padlets of every single session that I've run, is that your responses are the same as undergraduate students, postgraduate students, MBAs who've got loads of professional experience, the same as professionals working in businesses. Okay, so I think that let's try not to cover up other people's responses so we can be respectful. I know that we want to get messages out, but let's try and just be respectful and make sure that everybody's work can be seen. So let's respect each other, okay? So if you've created something really big and it's covering up everybody else's responses, let's make that a little bit smaller so we can all hear each other. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, that's the first message I want you to know, is that you're just like everyone else, okay? And the purpose of my session today with you is what I would like you to finish the session realizing is that you already know everything you need to know to be able to network. You just haven't maybe connected the dots yet, okay? So that's what we're going to do. And before I share a little bit about sort of how I ended up doing these sessions, just another Padlet for you guys. If your computer starts to run slow, feel free to close down the old Padlets, okay? We're not going to go back to them, and if we do, I'll reshare the link, okay? So this one is just, why do we network? So what's it for? And you can add text, images, drawings. You can like other people's posts, so if you see something that you also agree with. So why do we do this networking thing? What's the point of it? So yeah, we've got meeting new people, creating new opportunities. So try and be specific. So who are we creating opportunities for? Right, proposals. Human nature, yeah, we get out and meet people. Although for the introverts in the room, we might not agree with networking being human nature. I, for one, thoroughly enjoyed not having to be social. There's very few points in life where you don't have to get out, and I found that after the lockdowns we've had in the last couple of years, I'm a lot more conscious about what I put my energy into social occasions wise. So collaboration, learn new things, get money, get more research, keep bosses happy, yeah, get things done, gain experience and views. Excellent. Okay, a couple more minutes. So why do we network? What's it for? What's the benefit? Learn things, we get jobs. Yeah, progressing our career. Power of lots of people together. Wonderful. Expanding how we perceive things. Okay, great. Okay, so let's just pause there, and what I'd like to do is just share a bit about me, so you know where I'm coming from with all of this. When I started university, so I went to the University of Edinburgh, I didn't talk to any of my classmates the entirety of first year. Okay, I was totally petrified of it. I didn't know how to do it. Going to the pub and stuff, I just didn't understand how everybody else found it so easy just to chat and find things to talk about, and I didn't know where to put myself, where to stand, how to start a conversation, how to leave a boring conversation, and I really struggled. And then when, so I'd actually done a lot of public speaking and debating, so if I stood up in front of a group of like 300-400 people, I had no nerves whatsoever, totally calm. But in small groups, I just really struggled. And when I started working, we were really encouraged to get out and network. And I would sign up for these events, and I think somebody posted this in the How Do You Feel About Networking, but I would get to the sort of entrance to events and see all these people, and I would turn around and go home. And I did that over and over and over and over, and I got really annoyed with myself, and I was like, why on earth can I not do this? Why can't I just walk into a room and talk to people? But I can stand up on a stage and talk to 400 people and it's fine. And so what I did was I guess problem solved the situation. I went, what's the thing that's scary? The thing that's scary is this room full of people. So what if I'm already in the room before everyone else arrives? So I started a networking group. I was working in Glasgow at the time, so it was Glasgow Young Professionals. And my theory was that if I was hosting and I was the first person in the room, then it would all be a lot easier. And one of the very first sessions that we ran was how to network. And we didn't have any budget. We just bought a DVD and we were going to play the DVD and then, everybody chat about it. And we had a total technology fail and we couldn't get the DVD to play. So I ended up having to deliver the workshop from memory of watching the DVD the night before, and that's where this workshop has come from. So it was always people asked for it. So that's kind of a little bit about me, and I really love doing these workshops because hopefully I can show you guys what you already know and skills that you already have that mean that your worries about networking, we can sort of reframe those. So what I'd like you to do is next, and this is not anything to do with your career, okay? So I'm going to post another Padlet, and I'd like you to pick somewhere on the map in the Padlet where a place where you met someone, and who was it and why was it memorable? Okay, so it could be somebody that you ended up sitting next to in a coffee shop.
No, you did it. I met everything.
Could be that you went to a conference and met someone. Could be something you studied with. So just find the spot on the map, drop a pin, tell us who you met and why it was memorable. You don't have to give people's full names. It can just be a first name or a description of them. So who did you meet and why was it memorable? So somebody met someone in Naples who's now one of their best friends. So if you're able to edit and add a bit more information about how you ended up meeting them, what got the conversation going, where were you, what were you doing? What else have we got? Someone in Granada. Girlfriend, yeah, she's memorable. Okay, so what was the environment? What, if you can tell us, like, where were you? What were you doing? What made you realize that you wanted to stay in touch with this person when you met them randomly out in the world? Okay, we got a few up in Aberdeen. Okay, it's all happening up in Aberdeen. Let's see. I'm from. Nobody's from Aberdeen. I am from Huntly originally, so lost my accent through travels, but yeah, Tutor at heart. Okay, who we got? People during master's degree encouraged me to pursue a PhD and career in science. Awesome. Got somebody down in Edinburgh now. Somebody down in London. The Queen? Who met the Queen? You still in touch? Okay, alright, we've got a few more coming in. So Prague, first supervisor who helped me find direction. University roommate, met accidentally, now best friend. Somebody interviewed for PhD position and still friends with them. Budapest, met Olivia while studying, great friend, supporter and collaborator. Somebody in, is that Turin? Francesca, former mentor from master thesis, she was extremely kind. Somebody in Toulouse, ex-president from one of the societies, kept me from giving up my PhD. Alright, these are oh my goodness, I've just zoomed out and we've got the non-European ones. Brilliant. We've got some in North America, what's going on over in the USA. Somebody was teaching a class, became best friends, introduced you to comics, opportunities in journals, someone in New York, gracious, humble and funny person, amazing communicator. Okay, somebody met their partner in South Hadley, Massachusetts. She was really helpful. Okay, down to Mexico, we got a supporter and mentor in academic career. Whoa, man, down in Peru, met another St. Andrews student in the middle of a rainforest. Helped me settle in my first year PhD. Excellent. Okay, we've got somebody down in Johannesburg. First day at work, met the man I ended up marrying. Excellent, that's a great first day at work. I hope you didn't get married on the first day at work. That would have been quite an intense experience. Sri Lanka, met my to-be fiance, also researched one of my best sparring partners in debates. I love a good debate. Yeah, I always find it really frustrating when people get upset when I want to debate something. Hong Kong, one of my best friends, met an exchange, shared a room with them, someone I could relate to and rely on with them. Very similar sense of humour. Brilliant. These are fantastic, guys. And I'm going to screen share now. Let's stop sharing audio and I'll start sharing my screen. Okay. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to compare and contrast this Padlet and this Padlet. Okay, so why do we network? we're going to use our screens again. So if you can turn your camera on, you can switch it off after we've done this exercise, or if you're not able to turn on camera, use your chat. So right in the middle here is where there's an even balance of give and get. Okay, and let's start with the memories of meeting people around the world. So over on the left-hand side is the predominant theme is giving, and over on the right-hand side, it's getting. Okay, so taking. So on this map, the predominant theme that's coming through and why these experiences were memorable, show me with your hand. Is it because people were giving or people were taking? So left-hand side for giving, right-hand side for taking. So predominant were people that you met giving or taking. So the person you met was giving, the person you met was taking. Okay, so that's great, guys. So yeah, for me, the predominant thing that's coming through on that map of Padlet is that all these people that you met, they were generous to you in some way. They supported you, they provided you with something, they gave you their time, they gave you their energy, they gave you their attention. Okay? And then when we look at this one, why do we network? The predominant theme here, and by the way, this is no different from any of the other sessions, is, yes, some of it's orientated around what we can give others, but the predominant motivation is, or predominant theme is what we get. Okay, so this is the first point that I want to highlight to you, is that what you were up to when you were around the world meeting these people, you were networking. Okay? And it worked because people were giving. So that's the first thing that I really want you to take on board about networking. It's not about what you can get. It's about what you can give. That's the first mind shift I need you to make. Because all these people that you met, you'd probably go out of your way to help them. Do something for them. Why? Because they did it for you. So if we go out into the world thinking, how can I help other people? That's going to make it more likely that people want to help you. Which then when we look at all these emotions, that there's a lot of anxiety, fears around networking, feeling like an imposter. Well, all of a sudden, loads of those are going to fall away because when you go volunteering, how anxious are you? Not that anxious, right? Because you're going to go out and do something nice for people. Okay? When you are sitting maybe a birthday party with a friend and you've all gotten together and organized a meal or bought them gifts, how anxious are you about that? How much you've done something nice for them. Okay? So the way that we can handle a lot of those really difficult emotions around networking is just to shift our perspective. Go out into the world seeing how you can help others. And if that's your primary focus, the rest of it's going to come back to you. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is, well, first of all, I'll just pause. Any questions? Sorry, I've not been keeping an eye on the chat. Just pull that up and have a look. My computer's being a little slow, guys. Apologies, I cannot see the chat. But if anybody has a question they'd like to ask, or if somebody can see something in the chat that I should pick up, please come off mute and let me know.
Hi, Sarah. Just to say from Susan, great to hear Sarah highlighting the same message as me. What can you give as what you can get back will be richer, and you will each have so much to give. And then I think most ECRs have a perception that they have nothing to offer in a room full of more senior academics. It's a really common one.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, this is a fascinating thing that I'll just stop sharing so that we can just talk for a little bit before we move on to the next exercise. This feeling of not being in a position to give anything because there's other people more senior to you in the room, this comes up no matter the group that I run this workshop with. Okay, so again, I just want you to know you're just like everyone else. Okay, and what I would say there, two things. One, peer-to-peer networking is really powerful because you probably have a better chance of developing a deeper level of trust. And so the payoff may, for both of you, take a bit longer, but it will come. Okay, so throughout my career, none of the jobs that I've had have I applied for through an advert. They've all been people who've contacted me, and that's because of people I met when I was at university, people that I worked with. Even this session, so Flaminia, who I think is here, used to work in the business school where I was. I ran this session in the business school and sort of helped them out with achieving what they were looking to achieve with their work. And so now I'm here chatting to you guys. So that was 3 years ago that I did that. Okay, so that's the other thing is you're not looking necessarily for short term. Okay, and the other thing I would say is put yourself in the other person's shoes. So a senior person might not be looking for you to tell them all the ways in which you can help. But to be honest, nobody wants that. Okay, so this is probably the next thing. And I'm going to challenge you guys here. So my day job, I work in engagement, and the real struggle that we have is getting academics to come into conversations with external partners with an open mind and accepting that they're not the expert on everything. It's really hard because the whole career trajectory is becoming an expert, right? And so my summer job that I did when I was university, I did door-to-door sales, commission-only door-to-door sales in California, hence the accent change. But one thing that I really took away from that is you have to listen. And this would be my second big takeaway for you guys. Be interested to be interesting. So you're not going into these interactions going, hi, quick, who are you? Okay, cool, here's all the ways I can help you. Because how is that person going to feel? Who does this person think they are? Right? So if somebody came to you, chatted to you for 30 seconds, then started listing off all the ways in which they could help you, you'd probably be a bit like, oh, hang on, I'm doing all right, actually. Mind your own business. Okay? So people, this is, one of those cliched phrases, but people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So your first thing when you're meeting new people is to ask them questions, seek to understand. Don't talk about yourself. Okay? And Show them that you're interested. Show them that you care. And they'll reciprocate that. Okay? And Susan, I'll just 1 second finish up and then I'll come back to that. They'll reciprocate. You know, one of our fears with doing this is, what if somebody doesn't reciprocate? So you show you're interested, ask them lots of questions about them, and then they don't ask you. And guess what? You get to decide who you hang out with, who you spend your time with, and do you want to hang out and spend time with somebody who isn't interested in you? No. It's mutual. It's two ways, right? So it goes both ways. So somebody's going to reciprocate if they're the type of person that you want to include in your network, in your friendship group, in your professional group. They'll reciprocate, and you get to choose who you put your energy and time into. Suzanne.
Sorry, just a couple of comments in the chat, since you can't see it. So people usually want to work with people they like. This is from Josephine. If they meet you and like you, they're more likely to contact you when there's a job opening / grant application that you're suitable for. And that's absolutely right. If people know who you are, then you know that's one reason for making those connections. Another comment from Jordan, it's common at conferences for older academics to have a comment rather than a question, that's very familiar, that serves to put an ECR down. It's a confidence knocker for young scientists that puts us off further conferences. Can I just say something, Sarah, on that? Yeah. I think it speaks more to the academic who says that and is actually about their confidence. And my advice is to ignore that kind of positioning, because what it's saying is that they don't really feel confident, so they have to make a comment like that. It's incredibly common and extraordinarily annoying, and you have every bit of value to bring to a relationship. So, but that's I don't know if you've got anything to add to that, Sarah. But it was a really interesting comment on the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. What I would say to you guys is, be the change you want to see. So if you want to change the culture around academia, you're one day going to be a senior academic. What type of senior academic do you want to be? How do you want to make other people feel? And when are you going to start practicing it? Because you can wait until you're a senior academic, and then you know what? We get really scared, because what if I try something and I'm senior, so I'm supposed to know what I'm doing, and I try something different and it doesn't work, and then I look like an idiot and I'm senior, so that's really not great. Don't wait. Start now. Okay, and this is another great bit of advice that someone gave me, especially when, you know, there might be characters who are more challenging. First thing, you don't have to keep everybody in your network. It doesn't mean to say you have to be rude to them, okay? But you don't have to proactively include them and nurture them in your network of friendships and professional contacts. But when you find yourself in this situation, imagine you're the host. What do you do? So if you're at an event, act as if you're the host. Take responsibility for the situation. Okay, so if you see that someone else is having a challenging encounter with someone, what would a good host do? If you had a house party and you saw that two people were starting to get a bit, you know, uncomfortable with each other, what would you do? You'd wander over and you say, how's it going? Does anybody need another drink? Oh, do you know what? I really wanted to introduce you to someone. Let me bring you over. Okay? Or change the topic. Right? Be a good host. Take ownership. Because you know what? By doing that, the people that were in that situation, both of them probably starting to feel uncomfortable, all of a sudden go, this person cares about me because they noticed something was going on and they did something about it. Okay, so imagine you're the host. Imagine these people are in your home and you're the host. What would you do? Take ownership, take responsibility, treat people as if you're the host, and that'll help you figure out all these difficult situations, okay? Where are we? Those are really great questions, by the way. So I normally run this as a 2-hour session, so I'm compressing everything in and possibly giving you guys a little bit less opportunity to interact. So apologies for that, but I will give my details, so if anybody wants to follow up, you can. So what I'm going to do with this next one, rather than loading up, actually no, yes, let's load up the Padlet. You guys are all good with Padlet, so we can make it happen. All right, so here's another Padlet. I'm going to talk through it first, and then I'm going to ask you guys to comment on the different cards. So I want to draw out here the difference between networking and a network, right, and the steps in between. So networking, that's the process of getting out into the physical world, the digital world we also now have as an option, and proactively seeking out new people. Okay, and that's the first step, is like, you know, exposing yourself to new people, giving yourself that opportunity. And that doesn't have to be in formal situations, it can be informal. You go for a coffee, you start a conversation with the person sat next to you. You never know, right? And then once you meet someone, sometimes we feel this pressure because it's networking that we have to find something there and then to achieve from the interaction. Okay, and what I want you to encourage you to do is to just chill. Okay, when you go to an event, the only point is to have an initial chat with people and get a feel for them, and for them to get a feel for you. Okay, so you're getting to know, which is the next stage, a little bit about that person, enough to help you decide whether you go to the next step. Okay, and the next step is figuring out if you like each other. Okay, now some of you might be going, this sounds a little bit like dating. It is exactly like dating. Okay, it's the same process, it's just human relationships. We've just got a different objective with them. Okay, so what are the things that cause us to like people? Is realizing we have things in common that somebody's willing to give. Okay, and then after a while of interacting with somebody, we build trust. And this is when the power of a network comes into play. Because if you have a group of, let's say, 10 people professionally that you trust, you now have a network. But guess what? If they trust you, you don't just have access to those 10 people, you have access to all the people in each of those individuals' networks. That's the power of networking. It's not how many people you build a relationship with, it's how many people you build trust with, which then opens up the connections onwards. Okay, so an example of that, the second job I ever had, I got a phone call from someone who was a friend of someone that I worked with at university. And they said, Sarah, my other friend who runs a business in Edinburgh, their recruitment agent was having coffee with another recruitment agent and was sharing that they were really struggling to find somebody for a client with these skills. And I thought that you might know someone who has those skills. I said, I don't know anyone who has that combination of skills except me, so I'll have a chat with them. Okay? And the reason that happened was because there was a networking event where I had 2 invites. I could invite 2 other people. And I invited this person that I hadn't seen for probably 4 or 5 years since university. Okay, and that resulted in that conversation, which resulted in that job opportunity. So when you build trust, you basically unlock introductions and trust to other people. You can jump the levels. Okay, so what we're going to do, we've got just over 10 minutes left. So using the comments function in Padlet, and shout if you don't know how to use that. But using the comments, I'd like you, first of all, to just drop in an idea of opportunities while you're doing the program, opportunities you'll have to meet new people. Okay, those could be in a professional context, they could be in a social context, could be to meet people just with the intention of building friendships, could be with the intention of building professional contacts, but just add a comment in opportunities you'll have to meet new people. Where could you find them? Yeah, so seminars, conferences, awesome. Like, you guys to think a little bit beyond the professional and work environment, especially given that one of the things you guys are talking about is engagement. So outside of academic circles. Comic book stores, excellent. Coffee machine, excellent. So how about bars in the park? Yeah. What about digitally? Discord, yeah. I will share with you guys this website. So where were some websites that you could go to find opportunities? LinkedIn, great, and we got awesome filters in LinkedIn. You can filter by job titles, locations, where people went to school, who's in a group. Okay. The other one, and you need an invite to join this, so I will send out an invite link so you can access it. But this is something that I started doing during the last couple of years when we couldn't meet people in person so much. It's called Lunch Club. So basically you can say what you're interested in, whether you want to meet people in a specific physical location or just anywhere in the world, and you can choose to be automatically matched up with one person, 5 people per week, and you get put together for a half-hour video call. And I've met people from all around the world on it, and I'm amazed the things that you end up chatting about and having in common, and then the sort of connections that causes and things it prompts me to think about. So yeah, Lunch Club, and I'll send an invite after the session. Okay, so the next one, getting to know people. We've chatted a little bit about that.
Sorry, Sarah, can I just interrupt for 1 second? Somebody just asked a question. What was the name of the group you were talking about just now? They missed it.
The name of the group. Lunch Club? Is that? I'm not quite sure.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, Lunch Club. There we go. Yep, that's it. Thank you.
I put it in the networking, in the comments for networking, and these Padlets I'll keep open so you guys can reference back to them after the event as well.
Thank you so much. Sorry for interrupting.
No, don't worry. So yeah, getting to know people. I've helped you with that a little bit already. Okay, so listen, ask questions. I normally do this as a breakout exercise. I encourage you guys to find somebody you trust to practice this with. The hardest people to practice with, your parents. Because you're used to your parents being interested in you. So trying to have a phone call with your parents where you are only interested in them and you ask them questions about them is really hard because you're not used to it. So that's the toughest one if you want to test this skill. Or, meet up with somebody that you trust and just practice spending 2 minutes only asking somebody questions and listening to their answers. Okay? And with that, can be really hard to start conversations. I'm terrible at small talk. This is my top tip for a way to start conversations. What brought you here today? It's like neutral, covers all different scenarios. People can mention whatever it is that's top of their mind. So whether you're at a conference or a coffee shop, what brought you here today? Right? Or, a version of that. It's just really open and immediately somebody starts sharing something about themselves. Okay, so that's my go-to, because I'm really bad at small talk. That's my go-to starter question. Okay, so that's in terms of getting to know people. So it's just hearing a little bit about them, and you can make a choice. If somebody starts chatting about themselves and you're just like, yeah, not really vibing with this person, that's okay. You don't need to be friends and connected to everyone. Okay, so the next one, is realizing you have something in common. Now, one way to do that is somebody mentions something and you immediately jump in with everything you know about it or everything you've done about it. Okay, try to still keep the focus on them. So somebody was comic books. So you hear about comic books. Oh, you're into comic books? I'm also really into comic books. Tell you what would you recommend? What would be like your top 3 comics you'd recommend? Okay, so you make it, again, about them, not about you telling them how much you know. So try and always keep that focus on them. And that's how you can share things in common without creating a situation where it's sort of one-way traffic coming from you, okay? Trust. How can we build trust? So please go ahead and add into the comments things that you can do to build trust. So that's the ones with the dancers. What can you do to build trust? So you meet somebody at an event, you have a bit of a chat, you think, yeah, this person's interesting. What's something you could do after the event to start to build trust with them? And go ahead and put a comment in on that one. So you press the speech bubble to add a comment. Let's see what we've got coming in. Invite them to a follow-up meeting, yeah. Follow up like you said you would, excellent. Yeah, presentation, compliment them, be authentic. Good listening does build trust, yeah. Share something you find useful or interesting, that's a great one. Brilliant. So yeah, there's some really great ones here. So if you said you'd do something, do it. And if you discover you can't do it, let them know that you can't do it. Okay, that'll build trust. With presentations, this might be just my personal thing. I'm super cautious of people who just want to compliment me. And so feel much more trust if somebody says, I really like this. I wondered what you thought about this. Or can you explain a little bit more of that? Okay, so just being sensitive to, if the compliment's really genuine, but don't, people pick up if you're just flattering them and making things up, okay? And that's not going to build trust. Sharing things. So somebody said something and you come across something, they'll be interested. Just drop them a note. So, I remember you mentioned this. I thought you might find this interesting. Okay, these are all ways that we can build trust. That's excellent. And then once you've got that, you've got your network. And just slowly, slowly, slowly. You don't need to be in a rush, a little bit at a time. And just to finish up, because I think we've just got a couple of minutes left, I've got one last Padlet for you guys. And this is to get you guys going with networking, because you can all get to know each other. So what I'd like you to do is introduce yourself on this Padlet. Feel free to just do a quick version just now and maybe come back to it. I've given you a couple of examples so that you can kind of take inspiration from. One's a professional introduction, the other one's more personal. Pick whichever one you want and give people a reason to connect with you, okay, and where you'd like them to connect. So that you want them to connect with you on LinkedIn, by email, are you comfortable giving out your phone number? So yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you're up to. We got a couple of minutes for you guys to do that, and I will share, so to distribute afterwards, all the links to the Padlets, an invite link to Lunch Club if you want to try that out, and also my contact details should you want to get in touch. Thanks so much for having me, guys. Quick recap. First of all, switch your motivation for networking is to go out in the world and learn about others and see where you can support others to achieve their goals. People don't know or don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Right, so practice your listening, and slowly but surely, little bit by little bit. And just to finish off, what I would say is that goal that I got you to think about at the beginning of the session, you're going to need people to help you achieve that. So if that goal matters to you, it's about that, right? And other people, they've got goals as well. So if you can find out what other people's goals are, get to a point where they're comfortable sharing that with you, you're going to develop really strong foundations for a network. So thank you very much, guys. Pleasure to be here, and good luck. Enjoy. I hope you meet lots of wonderful, brilliant people, and I hope lots of people get to meet you, because although I haven't spoken to you one-to-one, I'm sure there's something awesome about you that someone else is really going to benefit from having in their lives.